Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing you my final thoughts for Everton 1, Brentford nil on Saturday. Let's get straight into it. First half, there wasn't a lot of chances really. Dwight McNeil flashed one across the face of the box, and Chimiti was unlucky to get into it. But I thought that first half, I was relatively happy to give them 45 minutes off, especially after the performance on Wednesday night. I think they looked a little bit leggy, they looked a little bit tired, and for me, I was happy to give them that off, especially considering how well they played for 90 minutes on Wednesday night. But thought Chibiti linked up well with Decore a couple of times, and especially the flick into the box right at the end of the first half, which Decore unfortunately spooned it wide, and we went into the halftime break at 0-0. But as I said before, I was more than happy going in 0-0 because both teams were relatively sluggish. I don't think there was a lot of chances created for either side. So at half time, I was thinking, yeah, this game's still on. I didn't really think much of Brentford, to be honest. I thought that they were a team that didn't create a lot of chances. They didn't really look like they were causing us any problems in that first half. So, as I said, didn't think much of them. A side that we should definitely have been beaten at home. And as I said, into that second half, I think as I was happy to give them that 45 minutes off, and just as long as the intensity and the style of play was better in that second half. And going into that second half, I think we definitely came out and showed that intensity. Both teams did. I think the intensity of the game and the tempo of the game definitely did go up in that second half. That there's no denying that. And there was more chances being created for both teams. Great save from Pickford at 0-0 to deny Ivan Toney, which I think was a huge save in the context of the game, because if that goal goes in, I think heads do drop then, and then we unfortunately probably don't go on to win the game. So I think that was a huge save from Jordan Pickford at 0-0 to deny Ivan Toney, and it just showed that we were willing to stick at it and keep solid defensively, and all season really. In games where we've seen us go 1-0 down, heads have dropped, and the mentality's gone completely downhill. So I think that was a huge save in the context of the game. That was a huge save for me. And we kept going, creating more chances, as I said, just after half time. Dwight McNeil rattling the crossbar just before the 60th minute, which would have been goal of the season, or a goal of the season contender for me, had it just nestled underneath that crossbar. But it showed for me that we were willing to go forward. We were willing to create more chances, and just keep at it, and stick at it. And eventually on 60 minutes, Garner rattled one into the back of the net. Again, another unlikely scorer, another goal, two in a week, from a man that I would definitely not have predicted to have two goals in a week, and a man that every time he got the ball on the edge of the box and lined up to shoot, I would scream, "Don't shoot, don't shoot!" But for me, I think it shows that he is working on that side of his game. As I said, two good goals in a week, and rattling one in on the 60th minute, I think showed for me that we are a team now that looks to go forward, and Dyche has maybe adapted his style a little bit to create more chances. And for me, rattling one in from a good cross from Jack Harrison, and decent hold up play from Jared Branthwaite in the box just to try and carve that chance. I know it did bounce off the Brentford defender into Idrissa Gana Gue's path, but nevertheless, Branthwaite was there to try and stab the ball towards Idrissa Gana Gueye, and that's exactly what we did. And as I said, 60th minute, great goal, and it was our only shot on target of the game, which I think does show Dyche's tactics a little bit. I think it shows, where we're up to as a team. We haven't really got the personnel to be creating loads of chances, but when we do, we have to take it. And Garner Gueye definitely did that. But relatively few chances after that. A few saves from Jordan Pickford here and there. I think a good save from Kevin Schade late on. Jordan Pickford smartly down to his left hand side. I think that was a big save in the context of the game. And getting up quickly to gather from Ivan Toney, who was running towards the ball. I think again just shows how good Jordan Pickford has been for us in these last few weeks, and how important he is of a player to us, because in these games you have to keep solid defensively. As I said before, with Dyche's tactics, we don't really create many chances, and we don't really get a lot of opportunities going forward. So when we do take our chances and we go 1-0 up, I think that's where players like Jordan Pickford, Jared Branthwaite, James Tarkowski come in, because you have to be so on it for the full 90 minutes, and just to try and keep defensively solid. And that's exactly what we did. But one late on chance for us, James Garner rattling the crossbar from a free kick. I think for me, a lot of people won't read into that, but that for me shows a little bit more confidence from James Garner. We saw it when he was in a Forest shirt, especially in that playoff season that Forest had. The goal that Forest scored to come up to the Premier League was from a James Garner free kick. that was something that we were promised as Evertonians in James Garner's arrival was set pieces, so good from set pieces, that technical ability from free kicks, from corners. That was something that we were promised from him as a player. And as I've said this season, we haven't really seen that. That's not really been delivered as of yet. However, that for me showed that free kick that hit the top of the crossbar for me showed that James Garner is now getting that confidence to show what he did in that Forest shirt, to show, that he has got that ability to score free kicks and take free kicks. And for me, I think it does just bode well for next season. I think we're now playing as a team with confidence. We're playing with a team that we've got no weight on our shoulders, which is something we've not seen all season. So for me, James Garner might be a player that will flourish from that in these last three games. And I'm all for it. I think just trying to take that on, it shows that he is getting a little bit more confidence. So, but yeah, that was the game, a 1-0 victory, as I said before, and it just it was a massive relief at full time for me. That's the only thing I can describe. Just all season, as I said, we've had not one game where I can think that we've not had the pressure on, or we've not had the ability to play without relegation or a points deduction looming over our head. We've not had that freedom. We've not had the ability to play with freedom. So for me, these last three games, they represent this opportunity, and the relief at full time, it was undescribable. But for me, there's a few standout performers. First, I'll start with Yusuf Chermiti, and I got a little bit of stick. I got a little bit of questions in the comments of the last few videos, especially the starting 11 show about Yusuf Chermiti starting, and I was proved right at 4:30 on Saturday that Yusuf Chermiti was going to start. I was really happy to see that, just because I've been advocating for Yusuf Chermiti to start for a long time, and I think he's a player that can offer us a lot, especially in these last three games, but next season as well. And I think he had a really good debut. His first start in the Premier League, I think, was really, really positive. I'm excited to see more of him. I think his link-up play was decent with Decore. As I said in my first half review, him flicking the ball around the corner to Decore. I think that shows that he is, he's switched on. His attacking positioning is switched on, and he is a player that is very aware of his surroundings. And for me, I think it only bodes well for next season. As I said with James Garner, I think he's a player that can come in and really, ruffle some feathers in the Premier League next season. I think he's a player that does have the ability to do that. He's got all the attributes. He's a tall, quick striker. We just need to see that finishing ability now, get him some more chances, get the ball into his feet. But for me, I think it was a really pleasing debut, and more to come, hopefully. But again, another player, another standout performer, and I mentioned it in my second half review. It's Idrissa Gana. What a player he has been in the last week. You look at the Nottingham Forest game, the Merseyside derby, and then now the game against Brentford. Three games there, three outstanding performances for me. He's been absolutely unreal. Two huge goals in a week, rattling one against Nottingham Forest, and then smashing one in against Brentford. I think, as I said before, a lot of people wouldn't envisage him being on the score sheet twice in a week, but so be it. That's football. But he was so good on the ball, and he was so good off the ball on Saturday. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, breaking up the play. And for me, it does now bring a question mark about his contract in the summer. Would you be offering him a contract? I think yes. I think that's probably a whole video in itself, discussing Idrissa Gana again, his contract situation. But for me, I think yes, I would be offering him a contract. Whether he wants to stay or he wants to go into pastures new for different opportunities, that remains to be seen. But for me, I think he's a crucial player to this Everton midfield. And if you were to bring in a lesser experienced midfielder in the summer, he would be a great mentor for me. Idrissa Gana would be a great mentor for whoever we bring in the summer. So for me, I'd be looking to keep him. But just on his performances in the last week, and especially against Brentford, I thought he was fantastic, and hopefully more to come from him. But the final standout performer I'll give, and it's one that kind of went under the radar a little bit, I think it's Dwight McNeil. And for me, he's got that confidence back. He's got that intensity back in his play. And he looks like the player that we saw last season. He looks like the Dwight McNeil of old for me. He looks like that player that's playing with confidence, playing with, the ability that we know he has. And he was so unfortunate not to get on the score sheet, like he was against Nottingham Forest, getting on the score sheet with Idrissa Gana. He was so unfortunate not to see his shot, that hit the bar. He was so unfortunate not to see that hit the back of the net. And for me, long may it continue with Dwight McNeil. I think a lot of Evertonians challenged him in recent weeks because we wanted to see more. We wanted to see what we have seen in an Everton shirt from him. But, he's definitely doing that now. And I think the intensity with Dwight McNeil has gone up tenfold in the last 3-4 weeks. So, again, as I said with Idrissa Gana and Chermiti, long may it continue. Hopefully now these players can, have a good rest this week, which was probably what they need after 3 home games in a row. But yeah, as I said, playing now with with no weight on your shoulders, playing with a bit of confidence for these last 3 games, and let's just see what we can do as a team. But that for me is it for today. That's for my review of Brentford, the Everton Brentford game on Saturday. Hard fought 3 points, and of course it secures our Premier League status for another season. But that is all from me. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you're thinking about the Brentford game. Let me know what you're thinking ahead of Luton on Friday. But that is all from me. I'll speak to you in a bit.